In the headlines, fire guts documents, furniture at National Assembly. 31 million naira cash stolen from Katsina State Government House. OPEC says Nigeria's crude oil production averaged 1.183 million barrels per day in July. And on the foreign scene, calm returns to Sierra Leone as protests' death toll rises. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. Now, there was a fire outbreak at the new wing of the House of Representatives on Thursday evening. The Director, Information, National Assembly, Agada Rawlings Emmanuel, who confirmed the incident in a statement, said the fire incident occurred in one of the janitors located on the second floor, room 227. He said the fire was suspected to have resulted from an electrical fault, which was noticed by one of the staff to the clerk, who promptly alerted fire service unit stationed in the National Assembly complex. And the Katsina State government has confirmed the stealing of millions of naira by unknown persons at the account section of the State Government House. The Director General to the Governor on New Media, Al-Amin Isa, confirmed the incident in an interview with journalists on Thursday. Although Isa could not disclose the amount stolen, he said that some of the suspects were already in police custody undergoing investigation. However, sources familiar with what happened said the money was in the sum of 31 million naira. Now, to matters of security, where over 40 gunmen riding on motorcycles attacked Nkataku quarters in Katsina Metropolis on Tuesday night. The gunmen, suspected to be armed robbers, took about 15 minutes shooting sporadically to scare residents of Nkataku. Abdullahi Yamadi visited the area and has an update.
There are increasing attacks on residences within the last few days in the ancient city of Katsina. At Nkataku quarters, the gunmen forced themselves into the house of one Alhaji Bigi and dispossessed his family of their belongings, including his car. Alhaji Bigi, who was lucky to have scaled his house fence to escape attack, however, sustained various degrees of injuries in the process. The attacks are rampant such that one can hardly comprehend what it really is. Is it robbery, terrorism, or what? Truly, I can understand security operatives are overwhelmed. Something needs to be done. When Trust Television News contacted his family for comment, they said the survivor was barred from seeing journalists for security and health issues. Meanwhile, Ibrahim Kabir, one of the 3 survivors of the Shola Quarters attack, also in Katsina Metropolis, passed on at Federal Teaching Hospital, Katsina, Wednesday night. Kabir died from gunshot injuries he sustained during the Sunday's terrorist attack on Shola Quarters. The authorities are saying the increasing attacks on residences within the last few days in the ancient city of Katsina may not be the sign of change of modus operandi by terrorists.
We must be telling the communities of security tips on the need to collaborate, on the need to come out and say things that you know. So many of us, we know so person was in the forest and he came back. We know so many of them, they are living above their means. How? Where do they get those money? How? Where? And we must ask, and what is happening?
Beyond the terrorist attacks and armed robbery cases, there is also an increase in motorcycles and car thefts within Katsina Metropolis. I'm a victim because my car was stolen just 6 days ago. There are more than 101 cases of car and motorcycle thefts on record in Katsina, especially in Katsina Metropolis. We're in trouble. The deteriorating insecurity is largely attributed to poverty, high cost of living, and proliferation of drugs and its abusers, Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has met with representatives of the victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. At the meeting, which took place at the council chambers of the State House Abuja, the president promised that his administration would ensure that each person held in captivity is returned home safely. Kende Amodu reports.
There is a lot of emotion invested in this very tragic situation. 31 victims remain in captivity, most probably because their families do not have the resources to pay the huge figures demanded as ransom.
Many of the victims have been out from the captivity, which they paid ransom of monies, which the remaining those in captivity doesn't have the ability and capacity to at least rescue their loved ones. So we don't know what to do because the money that are demanding, we doesn't have the money.
But this meeting between the president and victims' families is an attempt to demonstrate the determination of government to rescue them.
Today's audience, Your Excellency, is a manifestation of the efforts your administration has put in to secure the release of all those in captivity. Indeed, the fact that they have been invited to an audience with you this afternoon has proven to them that government is not resting on its oars towards securing the release of each and everyone that is still held in captivity.
Bringing the victims back alive is top on the priority list of the president. This is why government has not considered the military option to wipe out the terrorists.
It is understandable that emotions typically run high. We have received several suggestions about the employment of lethal military force in extracting those still being held in captivity. This option has indeed been considered and evaluated. However, the condition to guarantee a successful outcome and minimize potential collateral damage could not be assured, and therefore that course of action had to be reluctantly discarded.
The terrorists are applying guerrilla tactics by using those they abduct as human shields. This meeting clearly demonstrates the dilemma government is caught in. The abducted victims are not just numbers, and by meeting their families and putting a face to them, government is caught in an even greater quandary. From State House Abuja, Kende Amudu, Trust TV News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria has not incurred any judgment debt in the last 7 years, but has secured over 1,000 convictions on matters bordering on terrorism. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, disclosed this on Thursday while speaking to newsmen at the State House in Abuja. Malami also shed more light on the contentious matter of deductions from the Paris Club refund, which put him at odds with Nigerian governors. Kende Amodu once again reports.
Over 1.8 billion naira has so far been generated from sale of bid forms and actual sale of confiscated properties under the Buhari administration. An interministerial committee on the audit and recovery of back years of stamp duty has also recovered about 596.05 million naira so far. But some controversies have trailed activities in the Attorney General's office. For instance, investigations are ongoing into how some of the properties that have been forfeited to the state have been disposed of. It is a matter that the Attorney General chooses not to comment on.
As you rightly know, that subject is indeed a subject being investigated by the EFCC, and it is only natural that we should allow investigation to take its natural course. As the Chief Law Officer, I wouldn't like to be preemptive of any investigative process.
There are also allegations that despite a presidential directive to suspend deduction from the Paris Club refund, the directive has not been fully complied with. But the Attorney General traces the antecedents of the deductions.
So it was the Governors Forum and not the federal government in the first place that engaged the consultant. 2, when eventually successes were recorded associated with the refund associated with Paris Club, the governors collectively and individually presented a request to the federal government for refund. And among the components of the claim presented for the consideration of the federal government was a component relating to the payment of these consultants that are now constituting the subject of contention.
The further states that the controversy being generated is because there was a change in the leadership of the Governors Forum.
The new leadership of the Governors Forum instituted an action, fresh action, even when the federal government was indeed acting on the basis of the judgment of the Supreme Court. They now embark on a fresh legal suit, challenging the payment, challenging the previous agreement, challenging the indemnity, and the court dismissed their application.
The Attorney General is hard-hitting in this engagement, saying one of his greatest challenges on the job is how he has been portrayed by the media. His position mirrors the defensive stance of many officials of the Buhari administration, who see the media as a threat rather than a partner in development. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come on the news, Yobe Cattle Market 10 years after attack. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. And now another look at our top stories. Fire gets documents, furniture at National Assembly, and 31 million naira cash stolen from Katsina State Government House. And in other news, wife of the President, Aisha Buhari, has promised to support and promote breastfeeding among women through regular education and sensitization by emphasizing the health benefits. The First Lady, represented by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Administration and Women Affairs, Office of the First Lady, Rukaya Tukurin, made the promise on Thursday while speaking at an event organized by the State House Clinic to mark World Breastfeeding Week 2022. The two-day event, held at the State House Auditorium and Utako community, had the theme Step Up Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. Permanent Secretary, State House, Tijani Umar, represented by his special assistant, explained that the State House Clinic was designated baby-friendly since 1997, and the Breastfeeding Support Group was inaugurated in 1998. Head of Department of Pediatrics at the State House Clinic, Dr. Rekia Ahmed, and a retired head nurse, Mara Kileda, thanked the Permanent Secretary for his keen interest and financial support, which made the community breastfeeding sensitization outreach a success.
Child exclusively for 6 months and anywhere and any time. You can't tell me that I'm in the market so I cannot breastfeed my child. Anywhere. That is the baby's granary that God has given and has placed it on your case. And anything that is in your case, what do? You need to carry it very well and with pride.
The theme of this year's World Breastfeeding Week 2022 is Step Up for Breastfeeding, Educate and Support. This emphasizes the importance of actively educating all stakeholders. That is why we chose to be in the community today, where we have the supporting mothers, supporting fathers, families, community chiefs, who are all, here for us to give out effective communication to sustain effective breastfeeding and improve our breastfeeding culture.
Emphasis on exclusive breastfeeding cannot be overemphasized. One, it assists the parents, that's the mom, to bond with the child, because as it is now, most people, because they are busy with the society and other things, they don't find time to sit and relate with the child. So it assists the parents, the mom, to bond with the child. Then economically, it reduces the cost, because as it is, if you say you want to buy food, milk and other things, it will affect some things in the family if you're not buoyant enough.
And stakeholders in the health sector have urged the federal and state governments to improve health infrastructure and build the capacity of health practitioners to provide quality healthcare service to citizens. They made the call at an event in Zamfara State, where practitioners gathered to brainstorm on ways of improving access to better healthcare. According to them, the global COVID-19 pandemic, health emergencies and weak healthcare systems have posed the greatest risk to Nigeria's health, security and economy. The report.
With terrorism, banditry and natural disasters identified as some of the major factors that are threatening health security and the economy in Nigeria, stakeholders say all hands need to be on deck to ensure healthcare services within the reach of every Nigerian. They harped on the need for policymakers to reposition the sector towards improving quality healthcare delivery to citizens and ensuring universal health coverage in the country.
Manpower delivery is one of his target priorities. During that period, he employed 15 consultants. These are the specialists with special training in different capacity to increase the service delivery of Zamfara State. And at the same time, he employed 40 medical officers to add to the services of Zamfara State.
For the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Muhammad, represented by his deputy Senator Hassan Nasiha, collaborating with relevant stakeholders is important to ensuring improved healthcare service delivery to people of the state.
In our effort to transform the state for the better and improve the health and social well-being of our people, we recently launched a medical outreach program in 4 local government areas of the senatorial district, that is Babe, Muso, Kumbudo, and Maru, which will inshallah complete the remaining 10 local governments soonest by Gansema.
The chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association, Zamfara State Branch, Manir Baturi, called for commitment on the part of stakeholders to strengthen health systems in order for the country to make progress in the sector.
So why we choose this team is we look at what is happening globally. We look at the pandemics that affect the global community. We look at other health emergencies that are affecting most particularly African nations. And we also look at their impact on our daily lives. So we now come to understand that actually these key issues are posing a greatest risk to economy and of course to security. So we say it is high time that we sit down and deliberate and come out with ways that we can surmount these challenges so that we can have a healthy nation with economic prosperity.
Some stakeholders were recognized for their contributions to the health sector, including the Deputy Governor of the state, Senator Hassan Nasiha, and Senator Kabiru Marafa.
Now, 10 years after the deadly attack at the Potoskum International Cattle Market, dealers say the market is yet to fully recover from the aftermath of the attack. The cattle market was brought to its knees in May 2012 after some gunmen armed with explosives attacked and killed dozens, including cattle. As they strive to rebuild their businesses, cattle dealers say a lack of infrastructure in the market is impeding their progress. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Located along Maiduguri Road in the city of Potoskum, The Pottiscombe International Cattle Market is one of the largest in West Africa. A section of the cattle dealers who spoke to Trust TV say, although the market is gradually taking shape, lack of an access road remains a major challenge to their business. Others blame the slow recovery on the fact that foreign customers no longer visit the market like they did prior to the attack.
To sa'annan matsalan da muke samuwa mashigan jama'a shi ke ba mu wahala.
The problem is lack of access roads. We have to stop trucks at the western roads and pay herders to bring the cattle here. If a cattle runs away, we pay more than 10,000 before they catch it because of the dilapidated roads.
Sai mun ba 'yan gainake sama da 10,000 a ji a kawo maka saniya a jawo maka ya hayo maka shi yana kuma matsalar rashin hanya ne.
The cattle market has recovered more and developed better than it was before. It is peaceful and you can't hear news of any incident. There is better security. If you observe, you will understand that our condition at the Pottiscombe cattle market is pathetic.
Other business owners decried the poor condition of the market.
I am affected because it is only when the visitors come that I will sell my drugs. The visitors are not coming anymore because of the poor condition.
Union leaders at the Pottiscombe International Cattle Market said poor infrastructure is discouraging foreign dealers from patronizing the market.
No intervention from either local or state government. The market is dilapidated. Our people pay tax. Vehicles and people can't access the market freely. This is the problem here. But this market is one of the largest in Africa.
My Pottiscombe, Alhaji Umar Bubaram speaks on the significance of the Pottiscombe International Cattle Market as he calls for support from governments at all levels.
The Pottiscombe Cattle Market is an international renowned cattle market in West Africa. People from Chad, people from Central African Republic, Cameroon, they sent herds of cattle the Pottiscombe cattle market. Therefore, it will be appreciated if the proposed international abattoir proposed for Pottiscombe an improvement of the ranch at the cattle market will be hastened so that the market community will be encouraged.
The Pottiscombe International Cattle Market operates twice a week because of its business potentials. If upgraded, it will help boost the revenue of Yobe State. Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Now, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, says Nigeria's crude oil production increased to an average of 1.183 million barrels per day in July 2022. OPEC made this known in its oil market report for August 2022 on Thursday in Lagos. The report said the figure showed an increase of 7,000 barrels per day when compared to the 1.176 million barrels per day produced averagely in the month of June 2022. The report said Nigeria's July Stanbic IBTC Bank Purchasing Managers Index rose to 53.2 from 50.9 in June amid stronger inflows of new orders. It said this helped to underpin a further improvement in operating conditions in the Nigerian non-oil private sector. And now for a look at the foreign scene, where at least 6 protesters and 6 police officers were killed as anti-government protests in Sierra Leone turned violent, according to officials and local media reports. Hundreds of people took to the streets on Wednesday in a public display of anger over economic conditions in the country and to protest the perceived failure by the government. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and of course follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.